Today we are going to introduce polynomials, and we're going to start just with some definitions, because if we don't know what all the definitions mean, all the words mean, then we have difficulty understanding what to do with them. So we've got 5 terms here that we're going to define: polynomial, degree of a polynomial, a leading coefficient, and polynomial function, and degree of a monomial. So our first term, polynomial, is an expression that can have constants, variables, and positive exponents that can be combined using plus, minus, times, or a division symbol. We can actually add, subtract, multiply, and divide polynomials. But there cannot be a variable in the denominator. So remember, constants are numbers without variables. Variables are the letters. And you know what a positive exponent is. So that is what how we define a polynomial. Now the degree of a polynomial is the biggest exponent in the expression. For example, if we've got, there we go, sorry guys, my stylus isn't working very well. 3x squared plus 4x minus 1. The degree of the polynomial is 2 because that's the biggest exponent. All right. Now, if I change this to a 3x squared plus 4x to the 5th minus 1, then the degree of our polynomial would be the 5 because it is now the biggest exponent. Okay. On to the next one. Now the leading coefficient of a polynomial is the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent. So if I have 4x to the 3rd plus 2x minus 7, my degree is 3, but my leading coefficient is 4 because that's the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent. Okay. A polynomial function is just a function that is made up of a polynomial expression. Now, just a refresher, a function passes the vertical line test when we graph it. We know that the x's do not repeat in the ordered pairs. So a function is still what we know as a function, but a polynomial function, the equation actually has a polynomial expression in it. Now the degree of a monomial, it's similar to the degree of a polynomial, but a monomial is just a single term polynomial. So let's say 4x squared, y to the 3rd, z to the 1. So if a degree of a monomial, this is a monomial because there's no addition or subtraction, we're going to add the exponents. So I've got 2 plus 3 plus the understood 1 here. So my degree of my monomial is 6. Okay. We won't do a lot of those, but I wanted to be sure that you understood what that was. Now we just mentioned monomial, so we want to be sure that there are types of monomials, and we want to be able to communicate what type of monomial or polynomial that we are dealing with. There are types of polynomials. The most common types are monomials, binomials, and trinomials. Now the prefixes to those words should help us understand exactly what they are. So a monomial is a polynomial with exactly 1 term, a binomial has exactly 2 terms, and a trinomial has exactly 3 terms. Now it's very important for us to understand term means you can have multiplication, but once you add or subtract, you create a new term. So a monomial could just be 5. It could be 5x. It could be 3x squared. It could be 3x squared y to the 4th z to the 3rd. because there is no addition or subtraction going on here, this is considered a monomial. It is a single term. Okay, so the addition and subtraction is what makes the difference between one term or two terms. So a binomial would look like that, or 3x squared minus 2, or 4, just a moment, my stylus keeps getting very iffy. 4x squared minus x. So each one of these is a binomial because that plus divides these two terms. That minus divides those two terms. That minus divides those two terms. And then same thing with the trinomials. 5 plus x minus x squared. We have 1, 2, 3 terms divided by a plus, or separated by a plus and a minus. Could also be x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4. Again, each one of these is a term, and they happen to be separated by a subtraction sign and a plus sign. So those were all types of polynomials, but now we're going to look at names of polynomials. So each type of polynomial refers to the number of terms. The names of the polynomials refers to the degrees of the polynomials. All right? So a constant just has a single number with no variables. Okay? And we should probably put y equals. Or we could do f of x equals 7. Or g of x equals 12. Okay, there's no variable, it's just a number. All right, so those are constant polynomials. Well, you guys know what a linear function looks like. F of x equals x is a linear function because it has a degree of 1. G of x equals 3x plus 7. This is a linear because it has a degree of 1. That's the biggest exponent. So that's not new to you. You know when you look at a function whether it's a linear or not. All right, a quadratic. You know a quadratic has a degree of 2. So f of x equals x squared is a quadratic function. F of x equals 3x squared plus 2x minus 4. Now, this is a quadratic because the degree is 2, but the type of polynomial is a trinomial. Do you see the difference? Okay. Our cubic, the degree of the cubic is a 3, so x cubed is a cubic function. G of x equals x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2. That is a cubic. Okay. So again, the types are by how many terms are in it, but the names are based on the degree. Oops. So f of x, quartic is one you are not as familiar with. That would be x to the 4th. So g of x could equal 3x to the 4th plus 1. The degree here is a 4, so it is a quartic. And then last but not least, we have a quintic, which is a degree of 5. Another example would be g of x equals 3x to the 5th plus 4x to the 4th minus 3x squared. And I've run out of room, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Again, it's a quintic because the degree of the polynomial is 5. Now up here on a constant, we said a linear, the degree is 1, a quadratic, the degree is 2, the cubic, the degree is 3. Technically, on a constant, the degree is 0 because remember, anything to a 0 power is 1. And so that 42x to the 0 just becomes 42. So our degree for a constant is 0. Our degree for linear is 1. Our degree for a quadratic is 2. Our degree for a cubic is 3. Our degree for a quartic is 4. And our degree for a quintic is 5. There are your definitions for this unit.